He whispered to himself, "I love her," and she answered without. Speaking asterisk, Marcus Webb never expected his life to change because of a thought he never meant to share. It was just another routine shift at Meridian Space Station, humanity's newest diplomatic outpost floating in the void between Earth and the outer colonies. As a communications engineer, Marcus spent his days buried in technical manuals and frequency adjustments. Invisible to the important people who made decisions that shaped the future, the station buzzed with unusual energy that morning. Representatives from 12 different species had gathered for the first intergalactic peace summit, and Marcus had been assigned to monitor communication channels during the opening ceremonies. He sat in his cramped booth overlooking the main assembly hall, watching through reinforced glass as delegates filed in wearing their finest ceremonial attire. That's when she entered the room. Zara, of the Ethereal Collective, moved like liquid starlight, her translucent blue skin shimmering with patterns that seemed to shift with her emotions. Her people were known for their advanced telepathic abilities, but Marcus had only read about them in briefing files. Seeing her in person was like witnessing magic made real. Her silver hair floated around her shoulders as if she were underwater, defying the station's artificial gravity. When she turned her luminous eyes toward the crowd, Marcus felt his breath catch. She was the most beautiful being he had ever seen, and without thinking, his heart whispered the words that would change everything. "I love her." The thought formed unbidden in his mind, soft and desperate, and completely sincere. Zara stopped walking. In the middle of the bustling hall, surrounded by hundreds of beings from across the galaxy, she simply froze. Her head tilted slightly, those ethereal eyes scanning the crowd with sudden intensity. Marcus felt his heart hammering against his ribs as her gaze swept higher, toward the observation booths. When their eyes met through the glass, time seemed to bend. The noise of the assembly faded to nothing. Diplomats and guards continued their conversations, but Marcus could only see her. Zara's expression shifted from confusion to wonder, her lips parting in surprise. She had heard him. Somehow, impossibly. His unguarded thought had reached across species and space to touch her mind. Marcus wanted to look away, to pretend it hadn't happened, but he found himself trapped in her gaze. Zara's people communicated through thought as easily as humans used words, but this was different. This was a human mind reaching out to an alien consciousness, bridging a gap that shouldn't have been possible to cross. Slowly, Zara raised one graceful hand and pressed it against her heart. Then she pointed toward him, her meaning unmistakable. She had felt it too. Whatever had just passed between them, it was real and mutual and terrifying in its intensity. The moment shattered when her aide approached, speaking urgently in the musical language of the Ethereal Collective. Zara blinked, the spell broken, and allowed herself to be guided toward her designated seat. But not before she looked back one more time, her eyes holding a promise that made Marcus's soul sing. For the rest of the ceremony, Marcus couldn't concentrate. On his duties, his equipment could have exploded, and he wouldn't have noticed. All he could think about was the impossible connection he had felt, the way Zara's mind had touched his across the void. When the session ended and the delegates began to disperse, Marcus made a decision that would change his life. Forever. He had to see her again. 3 days passed before Marcus found the courage to seek Zara out. He used his security clearance to access the diplomatic quarters, telling himself he was just checking communication relays. The Ethereal Collective had been assigned an entire wing of the station, their quarters modified to accommodate their unique environmental needs. He found Zara in the meditation chamber, a room filled with floating crystals that hummed with gentle energy. She sat in Lotus's position, her form bathed in the soft blue light emanating from the stones. When Marcus entered, she opened her eyes as if she had been expecting him. "You came," she said, her voice like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "I wondered if you would." Marcus stepped closer, his hands trembling. "I couldn't stay away. What happened between us, in the assembly hall? ... I've never experienced anything like it." Zara rose gracefully, her feet barely touching the floor. "Nor have I, in all my centuries. No mind has ever reached mine so clearly, so purely. Your species isn't supposed to possess such abilities." "Centuries?" Marcus asked, suddenly aware of how young he must seem to her. "I am 300 of your Earth years old," Zara said softly. "Among my people, I am still considered young." "Does this disturb you?" Marcus shook his head. "Nothing about you disturbs me. Everything about you fascinates me." Zara moved closer until they were almost touching. Air between them seemed to shimmer with energy. "What we share is called genitar in my language. It means soul resonance. It is incredibly rare, even among my own people, for it to occur between species." She trailed off, her expression troubled. "Is it dangerous?" Marcus asked. "Not dangerous," Zara replied. "Forbidden. My people believe that such connections dilute our mental purity. Your people fear what they cannot understand. If we are discovered," Marcus reached out, his fingers barely brushing hers. The moment their skin made contact, the world exploded into sensation. He could feel Zara's emotions as if they were his own, her wonder and fear and growing affection washing over him in waves. Through their connection, he sensed her memories, distant stars, floating cities. The weight of diplomatic responsibility. Zara gasped, her eyes widening. "You're so beautiful inside," she whispered. "Your mind shines like a newborn star." They stood there for long moments, hands clasped, sharing thoughts and feelings without words. Marcus had never felt so complete, so understood. In Zara's mind he found acceptance and warmth and something deeper that made his heart race. "Go," he said reluctantly, though every fiber of his being wanted to stay. "Yes," Zara agreed, but her grip on his hands tightened. "Meet me tomorrow. The observation deck on level 7. After the night shift begins." Marcus nodded, already counting the hours. As he turned to leave, Zara's voice stopped him. "Marcus," she said, using his name for the first time, "be careful. There are those among both our peoples who would see us destroyed, rather than allow this bond to exist." He looked back at her, memorizing every detail of her ethereal beauty. "Then we'll have to be stronger than their fear." The next evening, Marcus made his way to the observation deck with his heart pounding. Zara was already there, silhouetted against the starfield beyond the massive viewport. She had changed from her formal diplomatic robes into something simpler, more intimate. "I've been thinking about you," she said without turning around. "And you," Marcus replied, moving to stand beside her. "I can barely concentrate on anything else." Zara turned to face him, her luminous eyes searching his. "Show me," she whispered. "Show me what you feel." Marcus took her hands again, and this time he didn't hold back. He opened his mind completely, letting her see his longing, his growing love, his dreams of a future together, despite the impossibility of it all. In return, she shared her own feelings, the way his courage had amazed her, the warmth she felt when he smiled, the hope he had awakened in her ancient heart. They drew closer, their foreheads touching, breathing the same air. When Zara's lips met his, Marcus felt like he was touching starlight itself. Their secret meetings became the center of Marcus's existence. Every night after his shift, he would slip away to meet Zara in hidden corners of the station. They discovered a maintenance tunnel that led to an unused storage bay, which became their sanctuary. Zara used her people's technology to create a small pocket of her home environment, filling the space with floating lights and the gentle music of her world. In this private universe, they learned each other's hearts. Zara told him stories of her home world, Serenity Prime, where crystal cities floated among eternal clouds, and her people communicated through pure thought. Marcus shared memories of Earth, of rain on summer days, and the smell of his mother's cooking, simple, human experiences that seemed to fascinate her. "Your species feels everything so intensely," Zara observed one evening as they lay together on the soft cushions she had brought. "Every emotion burns bright as a star." Marcus traced patterns on her arm, marveling at the way her skin sparkled under his touch. "Is that bad?" "No," she said, her voice full of wonder. "It's beautiful. My people have spent so long perfecting mental discipline that we sometimes forget the joy of simply feeling. You've reminded me what it means to be truly alive." Their physical connection deepened along with their emotional bond. When Zara kissed him, Marcus could taste starlight and dream songs. When he held her, she felt substantial and ethereal. At the same time, like trying to embrace a piece of heaven. Their lovemaking was unlike anything he had ever experienced. Their minds joining as completely as their bodies, sharing pleasure and tenderness across the species divide. One night, as they floated together in the zero-gravity chamber Zara had modified for their use, she grew serious. "Marcus," she said, her mental voice troubled, "the summit is nearly over. My people will expect me to return to Serenity Prime." Marcus felt his heart clench with fear. "What will you tell them?" "I don't know," Zara admitted. "The Council of Elders has already expressed concern about my extended stay. They sense something different about me, a change in my mental resonance. If they discover our bond, ... what would happen?" Marcus asked, though he dreaded the answer. Zara was quiet for a long moment. They would perform the severing ritual. It's a procedure that cuts all psychic connections, leaving the subject unable to form deep bonds again. It's considered merciful. Compared to exile, Marcus pulled her closer, his protective instincts flaring. "They won't touch you. I won't let them." "And your people?" Zara asked. "What would they do if they discovered us?" Marcus had been wondering the same thing. "Probably declare me mentally unstable and ship me back to Earth for psychiatric evaluation. Humans don't believe in psychic bonds." Held each other in silence, the weight of their impossible situation pressing down on them. But as Marcus looked into Zara's luminous eyes, he felt his resolve harden. "Run away with me," he said suddenly. Zara blinked in surprise. "What? Are neutral territories beyond the outer colonies? Places where no one asks questions about who you are or where you came from. We could find a ship, disappear into deep space, start over somewhere." "Marcus," Zara said softly, "you would give up everything. Your career, your world, your people." "Good is any of that without you," he replied. "Hey, you're my home now. Wherever you are, that's where I belong." Tears that looked like liquid diamonds rolled down Zara's cheeks. "I love you," she whispered, the words carrying the weight of her ancient soul. "I love you more than all the stars in the void." "Then say yes," Marcus pleaded. "Say you'll come with me." Zara closed her eyes, and Marcus felt the storm of emotions raging through their bond. Fear warred with hope, duty battled with desire. When she opened her eyes again, they blazed with determination. "Yes," she said. "Yes, I'll come with you. But we must be careful. If either of our peoples discover our plan before we can escape." Marcus silenced her with a kiss that tasted of forever. "They won't," he promised. "I won't lose you. Not now. Not ever." As they made love under the artificial stars, both of them knew they were crossing a line from which there could be no return. But in each other's arms, surrounded by the music of Zara's homeworld and the warmth of their impossible love, the future seemed bright with possibility. Their careful plans began to crumble 3 days before the summit's end. Marcus was in his quarters, researching escape routes through the outer colonies, when his door chimed. Expecting Zara, he opened it with a smile that died when he saw Commander Hayes standing in the corridor. "Webb," the older man said, his expression grim. "We need to talk." Marcus's heart hammered as he stepped aside to let his superior enter. Commander Hayes was a veteran of the colonial wars, a man who had seen humanity's best and worst. His presence here could only mean trouble. "Sir." Marcus managed to keep his voice steady. Hayes activated a privacy shield and turned to face him. "How long have you been meeting with the ethereal delegate?" The question hit Marcus like a physical blow. There was no point in denial. It's clearly already knew. "How did you find out?" "Security cameras picked up some interesting energy readings around your usual meeting spots," Hayes said. "When we analyzed them, we found traces of ethereal psychic resonance mixed with human neural patterns. It's unprecedented, Webb, and dangerous." Marcus felt the walls closing in around him. "Dangerous how? Think about it," Hayes said, pacing the small quarters. "An alien with telepathic abilities forming an intimate connection with a human who has access to sensitive military communications. What do you think the Oversight Committee is going to assume? Is that I'm a security risk?" Marcus said heavily. "That you're a compromised asset being manipulated by enemy agents, Hayes corrected. They're talking about a full neural wipe web. Complete memory reconstruction. You'll forget she ever existed. The thought of losing Zara, of having their love ripped from his mind, made Marcus physically ill. She's not manipulating me. What we have is real. Hayes studied him for a long moment. I believe you, son. I've read the reports on ethereal psychology. Their mental connections don't work through deception or coercion, but that doesn't matter to the brass. They see a threat that needs to be neutralized. When? Marcus asked. Tomorrow morning. They want to conduct the procedure before the ethereal. Delegation departs. Marcus felt desperation clawing at his chest. Commander, please. There has to be another way. Hayes was quiet for a long moment, his weathered face thoughtful. Finally, he spoke. There might be, but it would mean the end of your career in Earth defense. Probably exiled to the outer territories? What are you suggesting? That you have 12 hours to disappear, Hayes said quietly. Maintenance Shuttle 7 has been scheduled for a routine supply run to Asteroid Mining Station Delta. Its departure window opens at 0600. If someone were to stow away. Marcus stared at his commander in shock. You're helping me escape? Hayes' expression softened slightly. I've seen real love exactly once in my life, Webb, 30 years ago with my wife. What you have with that ethereal girl is the genuine article, rare as diamonds and twice as precious. I won't let them destroy it. After Hayes left, Marcus immediately reached out through his bond with Zara. Her mental voice came back, panicked and frightened. Marcus, they know. It's the Council of Elders. Has called an emergency session. They're going to perform the severing ritual tonight. Where are you now? Marcus asked. Locked in my quarters under guard. They say it's for my own protection, but I know better. Marcus, I'm scared. Don't be, Marcus. Projected as much calm and confidence as he could manage. I'm coming for you. We're leaving tonight. How? The guards leave that to me. Just be ready. Marcus spent the next few hours in careful preparation. Using his security clearance, he disabled several surveillance cameras along the route to the ethereal quarters. He requisitioned an emergency maintenance kit that would get him past the locked doors. Most importantly, he sent a coded message to an old friend who ran a salvage operation in the neutral zone, arranging for pickup at the asteroid station. At 3 in the morning, Marcus made his move. The corridors were dimly lit and mostly empty as he made his way to Zara's wing. The 2 guards outside her quarters were alert, but unsuspecting as he approached in his maintenance uniform. Evening, gentlemen, he said casually. Got reports of a ventilation malfunction in this section. Need to check the environmental controls. The guards exchanged glances. At this hour, you know how it is with alien atmospheres, Marcus said, hefting his toolkit. One small imbalance, and we could have a diplomatic incident. They reluctantly stepped aside, and Marcus slipped into the maintenance panel beside Zara's door. It took him less than 2 minutes to override the locking mechanism. When the door slid open, Zara was waiting, dressed in traveling clothes with a small pack over her shoulder. Ready? He whispered. She nodded, and together they slipped into the corridor. The guards were distracted by Marcus's fake repair work, allowing them to reach the service tunnels undetected. As they made their way toward the shuttle bay, Zara suddenly stopped. Marcus, wait. If we do this, there's no going back. You'll be a fugitive from your own species. Marcus took her hands, feeling the familiar warmth of their connection. Zara, you are my species now. You're my everything. I choose you over duty, over safety, over everything else. Tears sparkled in her luminous eyes, and I choose you over the wisdom of ages, over the approval of my people, over the certainty of my old life. Wherever we go together. They sealed their promise with a kiss that tasted of starlight and freedom, then continued their desperate flight toward the shuttle bay and an uncertain future among the stars. The maintenance shuttle cleared Meridian Station's docking bay just as the first alarms began to sound. Marcus gripped the controls with steady hands, his heart hammering as he watched the station's security ship scramble to intercept them. Beside him, Zara used her people's technology to mask their energy signature, buying them precious moments to reach the asteroid belt. There, she said, pointing to a cluster of tumbling rocks. That one has natural interference patterns. You can hide there until your friend arrives. Marcus guided the small craft between the massive asteroids, using their gravitational pull to slingshot deeper into the belt. Behind them, the security ships spread out in a search pattern, their scanners sweeping space for any sign of the fugitives. They found a hollow within one of the larger asteroids and settled in to wait. The silence stretched between them, filled with the weight of what they had left behind and the uncertainty of what lay ahead. "Are you afraid?" Zara asked softly. Marcus considered the question. Terrified, he admitted. "But not of what's out there, only of losing you." Zara took his hand, their mental connection flowing with warmth and love. "You won't lose me. Not ever. Our bond has grown stronger than either of our peoples imagined possible. Even death couldn't sever it now." 6 hours later, a battered cargo freighter emerged from the asteroid field's depths. Captain Torres was an old academy friend who had chosen the freedom of the shipping lanes over military service. His weathered face showed no surprise when Marcus and Zara boarded his ship. "Heard you caused quite a stir back at Meridian," Torres said with a grin. "Both Earth Command and the Ethereal Council have put bounties on your heads. Must be some kind of love story." "The best kind," Marcus replied. His arm around Zara's waist, Torres showed them to a small cabin in the ship's passenger section. "Where?" "Heading for Haven Station in the neutral zone. It's a free port, no questions asked about anyone's past. You should be safe there while you figure out your next move." Haven Station turned out to be everything Torres had promised and more. Built inside a massive asteroid, it was a thriving community of refugees, traders, and misfits from across the galaxy. Humans worked alongside ethereals, Zerati, and dozens of other species in an atmosphere of mutual tolerance. Marcus and Zara found a small apartment in the station's residential section and began building their new life together. Marcus used his technical skills to find work maintaining the station's communication arrays, while Zara offered her telepathic abilities to help resolve disputes between species with incompatible communication methods. There, love deepened in the freedom of their new home. Without the pressure of hiding their relationship, they explored every aspect of their bond. Marcus learned to project his thoughts more clearly, while Zara discovered the passionate intensity of human emotion. Their lovemaking became a fusion of minds and souls that left them both breathless with wonder. 1 year after their escape, they decided to make their commitment official. Haven Station's multi-species council performed a binding ceremony that honored both human and ethereal traditions. Marcus wore a simple suit, while Zara chose a gown that seemed to be woven from captured starlight, as they exchanged vows under the artificial sky of the station's central plaza. Their mental bond blazed with joy that every telepath in the crowd could feel. "By the laws of Haven Station and the deeper laws of the heart," the officiator declared, "I pronounce you bonded for life." Their first dance was to music that blended human melodies with ethereal harmonics, a perfect symbol of their union. As they moved together, their thoughts intertwined as completely as their bodies. Marcus knew he had found his true home. 2 years later, Zara surprised him with news that would have been impossible under normal circumstances. Her people's advanced medical technology, combined with the unique properties of their mental bond, had made the unthinkable possible. "I'm carrying our child," she told him one evening, as they watched ships come and go through the station's VIEWPORT. Marcus stared at her in wonder. "But how? Our species aren't supposed to be compatible." Zara smiled, her hand resting on her still flat stomach. "Our bond has changed us both at the cellular level. The child will be something new, a bridge between our peoples. The first of a new kind." Marcus knelt beside her chair, his hands covering hers on her stomach. Through their connection, he could sense the tiny spark of life growing within her, a consciousness that already seemed to carry both human passion and ethereal wisdom. "What will we call her?" he asked, somehow certain the child would be a girl. "Nova," Zara said without hesitation, "because she will be the beginning of something bright and new." As they sat together watching the stars, Marcus reflected on the incredible journey that had brought them here. He had whispered his love into the void, and the universe had answered in ways he never could have imagined. Their child would grow up in a world where love truly could transcend any boundary, where the heart's call was the strongest force in existence. In the distance, new ships arrived at Haven Station, carrying their own cargo of hopes and dreams. Somewhere among them might be other impossible lovers, other hearts that had dared to reach across the void. Marcus and Zara's story was ending, but it was also just beginning. A bright star in the constellation of love that stretched across the galaxy.